أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Can everybody hear me okay inshallah? Sister Maryam, good?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Thank you.
Okay. Inshallah, we talk today about responsibility and accountability. I don't know if any of you attended last Friday's session, Friday night session. We have defined the difference between responsibility and accountability, how the Islamic term or the Arabic term, to be more specific, is more accurate than in any other language, because it is the same word in Arabic that depicts the meaning of both. Responsibility is in your life, we see different situations and different events. And then also you perform and complete certain assigned tasks. So that's what responsibility is. So responsibility is like when you have a duty or when you have an obligation to do something or react in a certain way or handle something, then you're responsible to do that. Problem that people normally don't want to do that because they're afraid of blame from others, and they're afraid of the guilt feeling from within themselves. That's why they resist to take responsibility. But it is a conscious choice. It is a mature choice. It's a personal choice that to have a say or do something as an action, proaction, interaction, or reaction. That's basically responsibility. Now, what is accountability? Accountability is that you acknowledge that you recognize your responsibilities. So responsibility, doing. Accountability is understanding the value of that. All right? And that you are going to be answerable to someone somehow. So responsibility is just doing it. So that's why you give your child a task. Tell them you're responsible to change your bed. Well, they will do it. But when you tell them that I'm going to check on you and you're going to tell me when you finish, and they know that they have to answer to you if they did, so they can be rewarded, and if they didn't, so you can have a talk. That's called accountability. So accountability is the recognition and acknowledgement of responsibility. Okay, so you are responsible, but it is different that when you are accountable. So responsibility, basically, it refers to the obligation itself to perform the task and complete and comply with the rules. But accountability, that you are answerable for the outcome of that task. I can tell you are responsible to build that wall, and I don't check on you. So you build it, you don't build it, you build it crooked, you used the code, you didn't use the code, there's no issue. But when you know that you're accountable and answerable, then the quality of your building the wall will be different. The quality of giving a speech would be different. The quality of teaching a class would be different. The quality of the marriage would be different if each of the spouses know that they're accountable. The problem is people go for responsibility. And the sisters will come and say, well, what is the man's responsibility? What is my responsibility toward my husband, toward my children? What's my responsibility toward my parents? What's the responsibility toward my spouse? Great, I can list it to you. I can send you a link. And I tell your wife's responsibility is to do this, or husband's responsibility is to do that. But what would make you acknowledge that responsibility and know and do it in a certain way or a specific way for the marriage to be successful, or the relationship in general to be successful, that you know you're accountable. That you know you're accountable. And that's why you see all this divorce and all of that. Why? Because nobody's accountable. They are responsibility, and they know that they are going to suffer the result of their decisions, but they don't feel accountable. If you feel accountable to Allah Azza wa Jal, you're going to think 100,000 times before you make any decision to keep a bad relationship or to get out of a good relationship. This is what it is. Because some people, I'm not biased here. Like some people staying in marriages while they're supposed to get out of it. And this is wrong. They're damaging themselves. And some people, they leave marriages while they're supposed to stay. There is no foul. But because they don't feel accountable, I'm free. I can do whatever I want. That's the problem. If they feel acknowledged that they're responsible as a husband, as a wife, as a son, as a daughter, as a mother, as a father, as a grandfather, as a grandmother, as a teacher, as an employer, as an employee, you are responsible. Meaning what? You are accountable also. And that's why the word in Arabic is very specific. Mas'ul. The mas'ul means questioned, means you're going to be answering. This you have to acknowledge that. كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول. Each one of you is a shepherd. That's the responsibility part. وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. That's the accountability part. That's why the word in Arabic is called مسؤولية. مسؤولية means responsibility with accountability. Because su'al means question. And a person is مسؤول means he will be asked. Asked by who? By Allah, or by the one who assigned you, or by your boss, or by your husband, or by your father, or by your sheikh, whatever. You're going to be answering to them. Okay? So, مسؤول. يبقى أنت مسؤولة. You are مسؤول. Means responsible and accountable. So whenever you are asking and said, what is my responsibility as a wife? And I tell you, you know that carrying what I just told you now is a matter of being questioned by Allah and by the one that you are going to do it to. Like your husband will account you. Like, you're going to be answerable why you did not carry that, knowing that this is your duty. This is your responsibility. Why you are not taking care of the children? Why you did not do this? Why you did not do that? And don't feel bad about it because somebody is checking on you. Because it's better to be done here than the Yawm al-Qiyamah, that you wasted your responsibility. So that is what accountability is. It's scary, I know. Fudayl ibn Iyad, one of the great tabi'in, and he was known for his piety and righteousness and ibadah, worship. And he was called Abid al-Haramain, the worshipper of the two haram. Between Mecca and Medina, he spent his life in ibadah. So one time he was walking, in outskirts of the town, and he met an older person. He told him, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And they talked a little bit, and then he told him, how old are you? Fudayl is asking the other guy. Told him 16. The other guy told him, I'm 16. Told him, Subhanallah, 60 years traveling? The man did not realize it first. Told him, no, I'm not traveling for 60 years. Then he realized figure of speech here. Told him, and since you were born, it's a trip, traveling. And your destination is about to be reached. So he told him, أوشكت على الوصول. 60 years, wow, 60 years you've been traveling, almost there. Then the man said, لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. We belong to Allah, truly we belong to Allah, and truly we go back to Him. We're going to go back to Him. So Fudayl ibn Iyad told him, do you know what does that mean? What you just said. He told him that means that we belong to Allah and we're going to go back to Him. He explained it to him. Told him what it means, that if you know that you are going back to Allah, you belong to Allah, you know that you're going to go back to Him. And if you're sure you're going to go back to Him, you know that you're going to stand in front of Him. And if you are sure of standing in front of Him, you're sure that He's going to ask you. And you have to answer. Have you prepared your answers? So the man started crying. So that's exactly the summary of it. So when you ask about responsibility next time, you know that it comes with accountability too. Responsibility, also the difference among responsibility and accountability, that responsibility is imposed on you, but accountability is accepted. So you accept to be accountable, but sometimes responsibility comes from above. So your responsibility is 1, 2, 3, 4 imposed on you. Sometimes you don't have a choice. But accountability, you accept. You accept that you're going to be accountable. Responsibility can be totally or partially delegated, but it is impossible to delegate accountability. If someone else is accountable, means someone else is responsible. I cannot do something and you become accountable for it. And that's the problem. Sometimes, when I'm handling like some cases, they say, oh, he made me do it, or she made me do it. It doesn't work like that. You had a choice to do it. You are accountable for what you did. Don't say like, he caused me to do this, and every single mistake in my life is because he made that decision that made me act like that. It doesn't work like this. We're not third graders here. Or he started it first, or she started it first, or he made me do it, or if he did not do what he did, I wouldn't be like in my situation now. Or if she did not do what she did, I wouldn't be in my situation now. And no, you cannot delegate accountability. You can't delegate it. You are responsible. You are accountable, right? So you are mas'ool on your actions. Whether they are actions, you started it, whether you are reactions, doesn't matter. If somebody punched me in the face and they bruised around my right eye, they are accountable for that by Allah, by the leader, by police, by law, whatever. I've been persecuted. Now I'm responsible how I reply. If I punch him back and I bruised both eyes, I cannot come and say, oh, he punched me first, that's why I punched him twice. It doesn't justify. Even if I punched him and bruised one eye, his right eye, still somebody has to decide whether they're equal or not, whether I let go or not. He can be persecuted for his, and I can be persecuted for mine as well. Okay? So it does not justify like that. That's why an eye for an eye and all of that, it is not necessarily the person has to do it. It can be done in a different way. Okay? So this is the whole point. Like sometimes we delegate accountability, which is not to be delegated. If you ask me to make a cup of tea, I can ask someone else to make the cup of tea, then I give it to you, right? But now if the tea is not what you want, I cannot come and say, he's responsible. No, but who assigned them? Me. Whom you asked? Me. Then who should be accountable? Me. I cannot transfer that accountability. And we make that mistake all the time. Oh, I told somebody, okay, why did not wake me up in the morning? Well, I told my assistant to wake you up. Well, my assistant did not wake you up. So whose mistake it is? Me. Okay? So I delegated responsibility, but I cannot delegate the accountability. And again, that's a big issue that we do. Responsibility may not be measured as part of your performance if you're an employee, for example. But accountability should be measured, should be able to be measured. Like you're accountable. If you get 5 out of 10, that's what's going to happen. If you get 6 out of 10, that's what's going to happen. If you get 9 out of 10, that's what's going to happen. If you get 10 out of 10, what's going to happen? If you get 5 or less, means you failed. So it should be measured. But the responsibility itself, it's sometimes measured, sometimes not measured, not necessarily. Accountability should be and have to be measured all the time. Now, responsibility, it defines our duties toward ourselves and others. I need to brush my teeth to take care of it, and I need to help my children to brush their teeth so that they can take care of it. That defines my duty toward myself and others. But accountability, if I don't do it, now what's going to happen? What is going to happen? So I have to answer somehow to the fulfillment or non-fulfillment. You know, when my kids have cavities or I have cavities, I have to answer to that. I have to answer to that. So accountability, accountability is, it demands from me to be answering to something or someone, but responsibility doesn't. Responsibility just define the job. Responsibility is binary and linear, both. And it's define exactly where this is the box. But accountability, it's not. Otherwise, it becomes subjective. Accountability, you have to be measured according to the quality of your performance, right? But the responsibility, I can tell you, this is how I want it. Okay? So understanding that, I want you, inshallah, as like a homework, I want you to read in that the difference between responsibility and accountability. If we understand it like that from an academic perspective, from scientific, aspect, it would be easy for us to understand it religiously and Islamically. To Allah Azza wa Jal, you said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. That's your responsibility to testify the testimony of faith. But what is the accountability? Do you really, really, really believe that? That is going to be accountable in front of Allah for that. What's in your heart is your heart. In your worship, in your ibadah. Responsibility is to pray 5 times a day. Accountability is for the quality of that prayer. Did you do it right? Did you do it in time? Did it change your behavior? How did you see the salah? Did you pay attention in the salah? Same for fasting, same for zakah, same for hajj. Okay. There's also an important point, like when everybody said, don't judge me. You find somebody who's not multazim, not following the rules of Islam. You tell them why you're not doing what Islam, whether it's dress code, whether it's prayer, which is kind of big like prayer or dress code or غض البصر, for example, lowering the gaze, stuff like that. So well, don't just iman is in the heart. What are the people who dress like this or look that they're all cheating and all of that kind of thing? That's always the reply that you get. That person, for sure, 100%, does not believe in accountability. Because if they knew, even they don't know the responsibility. What is your responsibility as a believer? If you really believe in Allah, if really faith is in the heart, if you talk to a sister or a brother and said, don't judge me, iman is in the heart. Well, that's great. Iman in the heart, I believe that too. But what is your responsibility toward that iman? The responsibility. We're not talking about accountability first. If you really believe in Allah, what do you believe in about Allah? You believe that Allah gave you rules, do's and don'ts, or He don't? Yes. But do you know those rules, do's and don'ts? Yes, I do. What are those rules in regards to business, for example? You eat from halal and don't eat from haram. Are you following that? No, I'm not following that. Why? So that means you know your responsibility and you choose not to follow it. That's even worse. That's even worse. You see how the consequence, the sequence of the argument here? Like anybody who tells you, don't judge me based on my actions. Allah judged me based on what's in my heart. Well, that's great. But what is in your heart? Do you have responsibility towards what is in your heart? Does it have to show in your actions or not? If you say yes, then why it's not showing? You're not doing it for me, but I am scared for you. Like, I love for myself what I love for you what I love for myself, which is my responsibility towards you. I cannot let you be like that. I have to remind you. Now, the rest is yours, but I have to speak. And you cannot take that right away from me. That's my responsibility, because I will be accounted Yawm al-Qiyamah if I do not tell you. Well, that's a double-edged sword. And you are telling me not to do my responsibility. You are not doing your responsibility, and now you are telling me not to do my responsibility towards you. Because if you are an actual Muslim, you will know that I have a responsibility towards you. That's your right upon me, is to remind you if you're wrong. I have that right. It's my God-given right. And you have to listen to it. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. So I have to. And Yawm al-Qiyamah, some people will be in hellfire because they did not tell others to give sadaqah. Tell, not give themselves. No, they were able to change the society by telling people to give sadaqah. They would have given if they told them, but they chose not to. So they will be punished. Yes, Sister Maryam.
I had a quick question on that. So say, for example, there's a 10-year-old child in our community. All the adults are responsible to remind the children that it is time to learn how to pray. It is fard, right? But then is it true to say that only the parents are actually accountable whether the child does salah or not? I mean, only the parents will be questioned about it, or the whole community will be questioned about it?
The whole community will be questioned about it. You know why? Because someone has to talk to the parents. If the parents are not doing their job, then it is fard kifaya on everybody, as it's a communal duty. It's communal duty. Somebody has to amr ma'ruf and nahy al munkar. Somebody has to enjoin good and forbid bad in the community. Otherwise, we are all sinful. It's like Salat al-Janaza. Yani. If nobody prays Janaza, then everybody's sinful. But if somebody prays it, everybody is absolved from the duty. So same thing. If a child is not praying, this is on their parents. Yes, their parents will be accounted for not doing it. But they came to the masjid now. That child came to the masjid now and did not pray. And you saw them not praying. You're not going to wait for their parents. You're going to tell them why you're not praying. You know? So I entered the masjid. I found some youth sometimes hanging out while the jama'ah is going. I said, why are not praying? Now, if they pray or not, this is another story. I cannot force them or punch them or push them. I can't do that because there are repercussions for this. I can't do it. You know, their parents have to be notified, but at least I have to tell them. Otherwise, I will be responsible. I hope I answered your question, Sister Maryam.
Yes, I will be responsible, but will I be accountable?
Of course.
Yes, that's what I wanted to know.
Yes. You are responsible. We said anything you are responsible, you are accountable. That's why the word in Islam is like that. Once you have a responsibility, you are accountable to Allah right there. It is the equation. It is the equation. Once you have a responsibility, you're accountable. Otherwise, it is not a responsibility. It is a voluntary act. You know, if it is a voluntary act, no problem. But if it is a responsibility, and I told you it is my responsibility and your responsibility when we see children in the masjid not praying is to tell them you should pray. Up to there, you know?
Right.
Up to there. Now, if I am the director of the zone of the masjid, my responsibility is even more. Yeah? Because I can enforce that. I can say at the time of prayer, no basketball and turn it off and all that, and lead everybody to the masjid. I can send letters. I said, please, you cannot be present in the masjid, and you're a Muslim and present in the masjid at the time of prayer while you are not praying. I can't enforce that. You know, I can. Like in the churches, I know from my other acquaintance in the churches and synagogues, when people go and pray and play there, whether they are from the denomination or not, they tell them you have to come and attend the Bible study. If you're going to play on our court, you have to attend the Bible study. You see? So you can enforce that. So my responsibility now is even more. And if my responsibility is even more to keep the place of worship, means I'm accountable. Yes, it is a masjid and I am running it. So if somebody is using the masjid as a non-masjid, then I'm accountable for it. But if I am a regular musalli, I'm not that level. But my level is to say, to speak. I hope it's clear now.
Yes, very much. Thank you.
Right. Absolutely, no problem. So this is the responsibility and the accountability. So it's very important. Once you understand that, then it's very easy for you. When you wake up in the morning, you know. um, giving breakfast to your family, cooking breakfast to your family. And now I'm not going to talk about, oh, sisters are the ones who are cooking, brothers. I'm not going to get into that issue. Please, this is not my deal here. If it is culturally or agreed or religiously, whatever it is, that it is now understood in the marriage that it is your duty to cook, clean, and bake and do all of that, this be it. That is your duty, responsibility, and if you accepted it, you are accountable. That's end of story, If my duty is to work and provide and do that, that's it. You are not responsible about it as a wife. If you do it, it is out of your good character and help and support. And if I demand you to do it, it's a debt on me. So the structure itself has to be understood. Now, I'm not talking about that issue now, but I'm talking if agreed upon or understood or assumed, understood, this is what it was, that in the morning, you're going to feed your family, cook breakfast for them and do it, that's a responsibility of yours. If you do not have an excuse and you abandon that, because now it is not just something like, oh, it is the wife's duty or not wife's duty. This is not the issue here. The issue here is there are human lives dependent on you doing something and you didn't do it. And it affects the way they perform and the way they live and the way they go to work and the way they do this and their relationship and how they perceive you. Look at it that way. Don't look in the mere act of preparing the breakfast or mere act of giving your kids a bath in the morning or the mere act of preparing them to school or driving them to school. Don't look to the act itself. That's where we get stuck, unfortunately. As a husband or as a wife or as a sheikh or an imam and ma'mum, everybody gets stuck on the act itself. Oh, is it a duty on me? Is it not a duty on me? It's you are doing it now. And you doing it, committing to do it, it affects other people's lives. Their life, their schedule, their perception of you, their expectations and all that. Now, this expectation might be right, might be wrong, might be subjective, objective. You made it like that. Let's talk about it. But once it is moving, you cannot just come and stop it and talk. That's why one of the great scholars of Egypt one time, he's a legal jurist as well as an Islamic scholar as well, the religious scholar, the deen, Islamic studies. He said that our problem as Muslims, specifically Arab, that we want to fix the machine while it is working. We want to fix the machine while it is working. So while the machine is working, we want to fix it. We want to unscrew things and we want to do this and want to do that while it is working. So what are you going to do? You're going to damage the machine. You're going to damage you're going to damage yourself, or you're going to affect the product that's coming. And if you stop the machine, then you are delaying the production and you're affecting the economy. You're doing lots of other things. So basically, you have to find a strategy, introducing something else, like some other machine, like people making open heart surgery. What do? Do they operate on the heart while it is working? No. They transfer everything to a mechanical heart that the cycle of the body will keep going while they are fixing the sick heart, and then they bring it back again, right? Or they make a bypass of some type. But we unfortunately always do the thing while it is working. Like, husband and wife relationship, or employer-employee relationship, or brother and sister relationship, and everybody. They have an issue with whatever going on, everything stops. Oh, I'm not feeling good today, so I'm not gonna cook breakfast today. Or I feel good today, I'm not going to. Like if the man says, you know what, to his wife, you didn't make me feel good, I'm not gonna go to the job. I'm just gonna quit. What's gonna happen now? Because he's unhappy with his wife and his children. He might be right. They might have transgressed them, but does he stop his function because of that until they make him feel better? No. Same thing. Like if I said, "Oh, I'm not in the mood today, so I'm sad," goes to her room and close the door, so nobody talks to me now. What's going to happen now? Right? If I'm a sheikh now and somebody like talk to me and said, "You know what, I'm not going to lead the salah for a week until you as the community makes it up to me." What is that? What is that exactly? Or I'm not going to go to the company. Company's closed because you guys employees make me feel unhappy in the morning, so nobody works. Go home. So what did I just do? That is called accountability. If you have a responsibility, accept your responsibility, and you're going to be accountable, so you're going to do it regardless how it makes you feel. Now, if the job makes you feel bad, quit. Quit the job. Get out of it. But you have to get out of it the proper way also. That's a responsibility. That's another responsibility over the responsibility. I cannot come and say, okay, I'm going to make everybody pay by making them suffer. Why they make me unhappy? I'll make everybody suffer. No, you cannot do that. You can't do that because now you are not functioning within your responsibility. So I hope this is a very sensitive issue. When somebody come and say, well, don't judge me, the iman is in my heart. Well, do you have responsibility toward your iman? Yes. What do you believe in? I believe in Allah. Who is that Allah? Does he have the power to tell you what to do? Yes. Did he tell you what to do? Yes. Do you know what he told you what to do and what not to do? Absolutely. Why you're not doing it? Oh, don't judge me. No, no, no. I am asking you because it is my responsibility toward you to tell you that. And now if you decide, you decide. But do not say that I cannot talk about it. No, I got to talk about it. I've got to advise you. In secrecy, yes. I'm not going to expose you or scandal you. No, I will advise you nicely. I'm passionate now, but I will advise you nicely. So, akhi, sister, Allah Azza wa Jal is Kareem. Allah is beautiful. Allah is generous. Allah Azza wa Jal loves us. Allah loves you. You are a great person. Do this, do this. All of us. I'm going to talk to you nicely, of course. Unless you become stubborn and all of that, then I have to warn everybody from you. I said, you know what? This is now you are transgressing the limit, but it is my duty as a Muslim community member. So every single community member is my duty towards you and my responsibility. And I'll be accountable for it. Is to give you nasiha for the sake of Allah and correct you if you are wrong, at least with words. But if you are under my responsibility, you are within my family, I have actionable items to do. Right. But at least I got to do that. And also, it is everybody in the community's duty to advise me and correct me if I'm wrong as well. I'm not above it. Sayyidina Abu Bakr said that. Sayyidina Umar said that. Help me as long as I'm establishing the way of Allah Azza wa Jal. And Sayyidina Umar said, if you find anything wrong, you fix me. I will fix you with our swords. Somebody said. Yeah, that's the way. If you don't listen to advice, we're going to fix you by power. But that's the situation, the demanding, that's what the situation demands. So I hope, and the summary of today's lecture is responsibility and accountability. There are two different terms. They're completing each other. Being responsible does not necessarily mean accountable, but being accountable means you are responsible. There is a responsibility that you are accountable for. Responsibility is assigned, is imposed, but accountability is accepted. And you can delegate parts of responsibility or all of it, but you cannot delegate accountability. Accountability has to be measured, but responsibility, you give assignment. You may say how, you may not say how. Accountability, it takes you to the next level. In Islam, you are mas'ul means the word of assigning the responsibility, you are answering to someone right away. Once you have it, you are answerable to someone. If you assign yourself, you are answerable to yourself. Do not say I take it upon myself to do such and such, and you do a lousy job. No. You're going to be answering to yourself as part of your dignity, part of your integrity, is to do what you promised yourself to do. Otherwise, you fail in front of yourself, and that's not good when it happens one time after the other. Any question? Anybody have a question in regards to what we said today? And I hope I connected the academic aspect of it and the definition, the scientific definition of it, with the Islamic one in regards to responsibility to Allah, responsibility to ibadah, responsibility in relationships. I brought it together. So if you have any question, please let me know.
I don't have a question, but from listening to you, I just wrote something down that makes sense to me, inshallah. I hope it is correct. I wrote down Allah has created responsibility to ensure that there is a person who is selected and appointed for a certain task or duty, whether or not the person accepts it. And he has created accountability to ensure that the task is there's execution, completion, and the quality of the task that is assigned.
I like it.
Is that
Send,
it?
send it to me, and maybe we can edit a little bit.
Okay, inshallah.
Yeah, and post it, and then we can post it in the group, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I'm Fatima. I have a question. Is your responsibility to tell others dependent on how you perfect the action yourself? So sometimes you may feel like you're not at the level of telling others, or other people also may feel like that you're not at the level of telling me what to do or even advising me if you're not doing it yourself 100%.
Oh, so you are saying, is it part of your responsibility to tell people to do things even if you are not doing it?
You're doing it, but you're not doing it probably at the level or that you feel that you can tell people.
No, it doesn't matter, because Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. He did not say وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ الَّذِي يَتْبَعُونَهُ. يعني they advise each other with the right thing when they following it. You know what I mean? So somebody can actually advise somebody with something that they cannot do. يعني Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, when in the fitna that every scholar changed his mind just to be saved from the adab and the punishment, he was standing still even though he was physically punished. Physically, I mean tortured, not punished, physically tortured for it. Yet he was standing. They said that one of the people who were in jail with him, some narrations said that he was not a good person. He was in jail for being punished for doing something wrong. So that's not a scholar, right? And he was there. And he told the Imam Ahmad, "Oh Imam, if you compromise, the whole ummah will compromise. So stand still, because you give everybody power to stay still." And that advice came from someone who's not good in himself, telling Imam Ahmad, who is the Imam of the whole world, how to stand firm on his belief and not to compromise. Because everybody's waiting for him to change his mind, then everybody will, okay, now we can do it, everybody. But because of him standing firm, even though he was tortured, he saved the whole ummah from that. So basically what I'm trying to say is, you advise and you give the caveat or give the disclosure, and you say that, even though I myself not doing that well, but I'm advising you and myself that we should do such and such and such. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Jazakallah khair.
Anybody else?
One last question. About when we as humans, we always when something becomes very hard and we go like, oh, why did Allah give me this responsibility, right? And at that time we go like, no, Allah knows whether or not I am capable or not capable. So does that also fall under accountability?
Yes, because doubting that is doubting Allah's ability to assign.
Yes.
Because I'll ask you the question, how did you come to the realization that you are able to do that or not?
Exactly.
You see? So normally it's because something that you do not like. Because if you look deeply, I'm not saying you, Sister Mariam, but in general, and the person looks deeply, they will find that they are doing harder stuff, which is not assigned.
Yes.
Because they like it. Like, do we do stuff harder than waking up in the morning and praying Fajr? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you just look at it. But why we do not wake up for Fajr? You see, this is the problem. Then you go to the next step and they say, why Allah make it hard for us to wake up for Fajr? My question to you, why did you choose something harder to do easily? That's my question. And always I ask like that. I do that with my children, the teenagers, and all the time. So, why as Muslims we have to, fast even if it is hot? I said, if you wanted to diet and you do intermittent fasting for 16 hours, would you do it? Oh, yes, absolutely, I'll do it. So why you chose to do it? Because it's you. You feel that I have control over me. I can decide for me. But for Allah to say you do it, it's kind of like, does not settle well with me. And that in itself is a weakness of Iman. It comes back to Aqidah. I'm telling you. It's basics. 101, you know? Anything in the deen that you find that it's working here, it is because you, astaghfirullah, versus Allah Azza wa Jal. You do not want another entity to tell you what to do, even if that entity is Allah Himself. You are not saying it, but you are acting it. Huh? That's why Allah said in the Quran, by your Lord, فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Their iman will never be complete. حتى يحكموك فيما شجر بينهم, until they made you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is the deen, يعني, the Quran and the Sunnah, the judge in all what they differ about. Now here is the part. ثم لا يجدوا في أنفسهم حرجا مما قال. They do not find that state of discomfort in their heart from what you judged. ويسلموا تسليما, and submit completely, totally, wholly, submit. That's the whole idea. This is the whole idea. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, Allah ordained fighting on you, jihad, yani, even though human nafs dislikes it. You gotta accept what you do not dislike for the sake of Allah. Once that happens, then you are not gonna say why Allah did this, why Allah did that. Because it's easily, you yourself do the exercise. You will find that you, by choice, willingly doing things twice as hard.
Yes, very true. This is the question on the part where you talked about when people resist from responsibility. They don't, they're not accept it very readily, because when it's from Allah, it's from Allah.
They don't want a feeling of guilt. They don't want to be responsible and accountable, right?
Right.
Because they are afraid Allah will account me. So I would rather say, it's hard for me. No, if you love Allah, if you love someone, you actually do not wait for them to ask you something, do you? Like when you love someone, you love your children, you love your husband, do you wait for them to ask you? That will be actually too late for that love. It will be too late. You always, your eyes and your ears waiting to see what can you do to make them happy. That is actual love. So if you love Allah truly, you are not going to wait for the obligation. You're going to do lots of nafil, lots of extras, and you do it out of love. You enjoy doing it, and you cry out of happiness when you are in Allah's presence. Yes? But if somebody is negotiating the obligation, means they're still in the beginning. They're still scratching the surface, So may Allah make it easy for us, inshallah. All right. Now, here's the deal. We have 1 or 2 more in December. I think 1. We have 1 more Wednesday. 1 more Wednesday in December. How about next Wednesday? Sister Mariam, remember when I told you the week before the last that we need to come up with a list of suggestions, right?
Yeah, the books.
Yes, would you please push everybody, inshallah, not push, but ask everybody here to put their feedback and to give me the things, because before I don't want to talk too much next time. I don't want to actually talk at all, but next time I want to have the plan ready to go for January.
Okay.
Even if we figure out the first 6 months or the first 3 months, but we have to have a plan for every single week. Okay? So January we're going to do, and then we divide it week by week. At least next Wednesday we figure out the monthly thing. Like those are the books, those are exactly what I mentioned in regards to workshops, the theme of the month, all of that. Can we do that, inshallah?
Yeah, inshallah, I'll do that today.
All right. Well, jazakumullah khairan. I have to get ready for Zuhr, inshallah. May Allah reward you all.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I have just one question about the responsibility. That conflict with kullukum atina farda, because the responsibility is not like community responsibility, as you will hold accountable one by one.
Okay, very good question. There is no contradiction. Okay, وَكُلُّكُمْ آتِيهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فَرْدًا. each and every one of you will come alone يوم القيامة. This is in the context of عبادة and blaming others for your own responsibilities. You know, he said that you will come and answer for yourself. Answering for yourself means answering your responsibility toward others also, but you cannot blame someone else. And you cannot transfer. You cannot say, I'm coming with my father, and I'm coming with my boss, and I'm coming with my leader. He's the one who did. No, you're going to be by yourself. But by yourself, you're going to be asked about your responsibility toward others as well. That's why Rasul said the first thing as an individual that you're going to be asked about is الصلاة. وأول ما يقضى به بين الناس الدماء. يعني who killed who? Yes, you're going to come, you'll be asked about your actions, but your actions sometimes involve others, right? يعني coming فردا ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى, and all of those ayat, that means you are not going to carry someone's responsibility, and nobody's going to carry your responsibility. But what is your responsibility? It has others in it as well. I hope you understand.
جزاك الله خير شيخنا.
جزاك أهلا وسهلا مرحبا. All right, now don't forget to give my salam to all your husbands, okay?
السلام عليكم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.